Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and remastering. All right, so I just saw the 2003 28 Days Later. Phenomenally good um, zombie film, and I saw it on the big screen. It was represented. I have a Regal Movie Pass, which I cannot recommend highly enough. It is probably, it's absolutely the best $25 a month I've ever paid in my entire life. But the reason this was released 22 years after its original release is we're about to get 28 years later. And so they're releasing the original on the big screen 22 years after its original release, so that people can go see it and be ready for the third, for 28 years later. So there was 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and now it is 28 years later. It took 22 years to do 3 films. But what was really interesting was I went in and I went in and I started watching the movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like garbage, right? It was just really grainy and it didn't look great on the screen, right? And I was like, why is that? And I know the reason. This movie was never remastered, right? So the difference in clarity between what was shot 22 years ago and what was shot today is astonishing. And the reason why I hadn't thought of anything is, like, Christopher Nolan's movies have been re-released on the big screen, but they've often been Star Wars. Any serious movie is remastered. These movies are remastered, right? And I never really thought anything about it. I'm like, oh, remastering, yeah, you're just putting that on the title so that you can re-release the 4K or the DVD. Nobody cares about that. Woo, doggy. You need to remaster a movie, you're going to put it on the big screen after 22 years, right? So it was not remastered. So, and now I will say, now I want to be super clear. I was thrilled to see this movie, even with its graininess. It was a fantastic film. The art still shined, and I was incredibly blessed to see this on the big screen. I do not watch movies on the big screen without gratitude, right? Like I'm incredible. Like I'm living the life of Riley right now, right? I can see as many movies as I want a month for $25. This is like a dream come true for me, right? So I was really thankful to see this movie, even though it looked like it was filmed on a potato and it wasn't remastered. I was incredibly blessed to see this movie, but it wasn't remastered, right? And now I know what remastering means and what the difference is. And so the reason why we're talking today is we're talking about the 2025 core rules, the revision, not a new edition, of D&D 5e, and D&D 5e being remastered after 5 years. Its resolution simply being bumped up, right? And that's the issue. Is, like, I think that's the best way to think of the 2024 core rulebooks. Is this is a remastering. It's a very valuable, extremely useful remastering of the original. And the reality is, it really looked bad on screen. Like, it was really grainy, and not like, oh, that old kind of audio that, sounds great. It was just bad, right? Now, I was very thankful to see it, but the reality is it would have been nice if it had been remastered. And I think it's extremely important for us to realize that Dungeons & Dragons 5e has been remastered. And this is important to understand. Almost no tabletop role-playing games have the ability to do this today. It takes a ton of money. It takes millions and millions of dollars to have the bandwidth to do this, right? And so what does this mean to do a remaster, right? First of all, the second they announced this, it was like 2 years before it came out, right? When this thing came out, there, in every FLGS I was at, there were 10 to 20 copies of the DMG and the Monster Manual of 2014. The PHPs were sold out. Those things were not sitting around doing nothing. But those other books were 40% off everywhere I went, right? Because they couldn't throw them at people, right? Like, if you threw them at somebody, people wouldn't even catch it, right? Like, and this is tough. This is extremely difficult. And frankly, the OSR and the indie TTRPGs just don't have the money to do this. And so I'm extremely thankful to Hasbro for remastering D&D 5e. And now D&D 5e is through, right? And the reality is, that's what it is. It's D&D 5e remastered, right? That might even be a great way, D&D 5R for remaster, right? Like, 5E, 5R, right? But the thing is, one of the reasons why there isn't a new name is Hasbro doesn't even want to deal with a new name. They just want people to think of this as 5E. And I think they landed that plane. I think we're there. But remasters are important. And the biggest thing is, everybody and his brother is ready to kick Hasbro every time they, they misspell a word in one of their books. And I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful that they're doing the work to remaster Dungeons and Dragons so that it doesn't look like it was filmed on a potato 10 years later, right? And so I'm very thankful for the new 2024 core rule books. I'm really happy that new people who are coming to it are going to get a really fresh, vibrant copy. And this is cool. And this is really nice. And I'm extremely thankful for this remaster. And I'm thankful to the 2003 28 Days Later. By the way, if you can get out to see this on the big screen, man, oh man, is it worth it. Go check it out on the big screen so that you'll be ready for 28 years later. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing and have a fetch millennium.